Good morning. Well, good afternoon for those who are on the East Coast, and good morning for everyone else. My name is Raven Willis, for those of you who don't know, and I'm the administrator in the group, Free Legal Resources. I am a lawyer in Texas, Keller, Texas, which is a suburb right outside of Fort Worth. And I wanted to talk a little bit about some warning signs of a shady business deal. For those of you who don't know my experience, I've been doing contracts for about 17 years now. Pretty much my whole career has been surrounding contracts. So I have done all sorts of things regarding contracts. Sorry, adjusting my camera. I've done all sorts of things concerning contracts, including negotiating, reviewing, drafting, all kinds of things. And I think I've probably handled over $1 billion in contracts over the course of my career. So I know a lot about contracts, and I thought about something when I did the video the other day, and I thought this would be a really good point to touch on some warning signs that the business deal is going to be probably a little shady, or the other party in the business deal is going to act a little shady. In the course of 17 years, there's a common thread around the bad deals, the deals that end up being maybe not horrible, but there end up being a considerable amount of problems in them, and there's common threads in them. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about some of the issues that have come up, and kind of what were the warning signs around some of those issues. So the first thing I want to talk about, one of the signs when you know, or when I know a deal is about to go bad, is the first thing is the other party has gone back on their word before. And this doesn't seem like a big deal. Like, for instance, if the other party has made a commitment to do something that may not be a big thing, but it's something small, like say, have a meeting at a certain time, or say, there was a smaller deal that you guys are supposed to do before and they didn't perform on it. Little things like that. It speaks to the character of the other party that's involved. So consistently in contracts that I have executed and negotiated and that I have monitored performance on, if they've gone back on their deal before at all, that's a red flag. That means that if they've gone back on it before, then they're more likely to go back on their deal later. So that's the first sign. The second sign is they insist on, this is a big one, they insist on unfair contract terms. Now, this could mean a term that is very onerous for you, or it can mean it's a term that's very generous for them. And usually what happens is they say, oh, well, this term needs to make its way into the contract, but don't worry about it, we're not going to probably need it, it's just in there, it's just a formality, something like that. And that's not normally a good thing. Generally, if a contract term if they want a contract term in that contract and they're insistent on it and they absolutely refuse to remove that term, that's not a good sign. So that's another red flag. If any contract term that makes its way into your contract, you're going to be obligated to it, and that goes for the other party as well. So I'll give you actually an example. I was part of a contract where they were going to perform some staffing. They were going to put some bodies in a particular location, and one of the parties insisted on a termination clause because it was a prime and a subcontractor. One of the parties, the prime, insisted on a termination clause. They wanted to be able to kill the contract for basically no good reason, and the subcontractor, the smaller party, absolutely refused to put it in there. They had a pretty decent amount of bargaining power, which I refer to as leverage, as bargaining power. And so they came to a middle ground. And don't you know, probably maybe a year and a half later, you know exactly what the prime tried to do, is terminate. So that really spoke to the fact that they were so insistent on including these clauses to terminate the contract for no cause, spoke to what was on their agenda, so to speak. So that's the second thing. The third way you can know if the contract or if the deal is going to be a little bit shady is they insist that no contract is needed. That's another big thing. A thing I see happen a lot. They say, "Oh, well, it's okay. You trust me. Don't ever trust anybody." If you trust them, you need to verify, and the way that you verify is you get it in writing every single time. If it's not something like in another video I mentioned, if it's going to be like a simple transaction, then maybe you don't have to have it in writing. Like if it's literally you're just exchanging a good for some money and it's right there and you can do it immediately, you may not have to have a contract. But anything other than that, if it's over any type of extended period of time, it absolutely needs to be in writing. Don't trust anybody that's going to tell you, no, we don't need to put it in writing. Don't do that. So the fourth way and the final way that you know a contract is actually going to be probably a shady deal is the other party has bragged about getting over on another entity or person or company before. People have a tendency to talk a lot about themselves and brag about things that they've done in the past, and which is totally okay. You know, we all do it. But you be listening, because if they've done it to someone else, if they've done it to another company, then they're probably going to do it to you. And for me, you know, it speaks a lot to a company and their leader's character if they take the first opportunity to leverage someone's weakness and take advantage of that and try to, you know, get one over on them. That says a lot. I generally, if I sense that, I go running the opposite direction. So if you hear a company or a person or a leader talk about a deal that they did where they got over on someone because they were able to, or if they took advantage of someone, or if they terminated a contract, or any sort of kind of, you know, shady interaction, that's a red flag that they're going to do it to you, and I would stay clear of it. So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you guys have some other points from your interactions and your business dealings, you know, let me know and put it in the comments, and I will talk to you guys later. Thanks.